Peace, y'all. I am giving it a moment for everybody to come through. I'm also trying to arrange my little folder here so that I can try to do this as I think my biggest challenge is always that I have so much content and so much information that I want to share that I always end up, I won't say overdoing it, but yeah, one of my biggest challenges is editing myself and not, throwing everything into. Did I have this one? This was from Sunday. Let me see. Throwing everything, it's like if I don't say everything I need to say in this one setting, that there's going to be a problem. That's one of the things I was going to share is about negative habits, and I was trying to think of a negative habit that I have that I want to work on. And honestly, that's what came to mind. But then it was like, that don't really sound like a big challenge, like, but it is a challenge for me. Like, I literally probably could be putting out way more content if I would just break these things down into smaller bites, so to speak, and then deal with it from there. But it's a gift and a curse. Good evening, Queen Amina. Good evening, Hot Spice. Hot Spice. Wow, Freudian slip. Hot Spot Casino. Are you the same? I think I went to your page and I saw some things that might allude to you being hot and spicy. So I don't know. Maybe it's a Freudian slip and things just happen the way they happen. But peace and love, you guys. How y'all doing? This is my second video today. And this video is practical steps to well-being. I have an ebook called Practical Steps to Health and Well-being. But because I did a video the other day for must-haves in terms of, what was it, for must-haves in terms of health, I think it was, I wanted to more so focus on well-being, which is a roundabout conversation beyond just your physical body. I know that we are in a time now of high stress, and we're getting ready to move into a time and times of higher stress and chaos and parasites of the mind. And every time I go on social media, I'm reminded of why I'm not going to be on social media too much longer. I don't mean I won't still have my pages. I don't mean that someone won't be operating the pages. It just means that my time and attention and how I navigate in those spaces is going to be very different. And that is actually my preference. I know that you guys know me from these platforms and creating content, but I really have more so of a behind the scenes kind of personality. I do not like the spotlight. I actually prefer doing videos without my face being seen. But I notice a difference in people who watch when you can see me versus when you can only hear me. I also know the benefit of face-to-face communication. So there's that. But yeah, my natural sort of true authentic energy is not to be seen and like influencer and all the stuff that comes with that. I'd much rather play the background. And you only hear from me every 5 or 10 years when I put out a book. Soon come. But in the meantime, this topic of practical steps to well-being, these are all things that I either do or that I have done or that I want to implement into my sort of daily regimen. But again, it's for us to start storing up our wheelhouse in terms of like being able to be mentally and spiritually and emotionally secure, regardless to whom or what is going on in the world. There is so much negative projection in the collective consciousness right now. There is so much negative projection. I told you guys earlier, it was a toss up between this video, Practical Steps to Well-being, and the AI video, which again, I have so much stuff to throw into that. And I'm just like, when I'm trying to give the other perspective on AI, because yes, great tool, can do a lot of good things. People are making a lot of money and all the things, but I want to talk about the things that aren't being talked about, right? And so even just having to put myself in that mindset Because for me, it's not just reporting the information, it's also reporting it in a way where you guys can leave the conversation better than you came. Right. I'm way past just informing people about things. That's like 10 years ago for me. For me now, it's much better for you to leave a conversation with me feeling empowered or feeling good about yourself, or at least feeling more knowledgeable about something than you came. But I don't want you to leave my videos feeling stressed or high strung or anxious or depressed or whatever, fearful. That's why when I do topics about worldly things, like the whole Young Miami conversation, for instance, I always have this nagging spirit and this weight on my shoulders that I have to come back and balance the equation out, so that, again, this is food for the spirit, food for the soul. You know, I always say I'm a warrior, and I am, but I'm a warrior for God and a warrior for truth. And so if these conversations aren't beneficial to you guys, then to me, what's the point of any of this? So I'm going to be doing more content like this. I actually am so grateful because I'm on this kick now where I'm on this 30-day challenge for myself. But you don't know how grateful I am that I can actually talk about stuff I really want to talk about, and you guys will tune in. Because celebrities, trending topics, all the things, like, yeah, I get it. It kind of is par for the course. You got to play the game. But that really is not the things I want to focus on. I'm so bored with celebrity culture. It's nothing new happening in that world. There's nothing inspiring. It's all a one-way transmission. Somebody said in a comment that I screenshotted because they wanted me to talk about something specific in the AI thing, but they also talked about the fact that the relationship that, I'm going to say Black culture, I can't remember if they specify Black culture, but that the relationship dynamic with celebrities is like 90-10. It's 90% of you giving and watching and paying attention and buying, and it's like 10% of them doing that. And I think the 10% was actually generous. You know, the amount of energy and content and videos and blogs and tweets and text messages and conversation that we give these people is astounding, right? And so that's a one-way transmission. It's not reciprocal. Those people are not going to ride for us or stand up for us when the time comes. And so I hope you guys keep that in mind and remember that I have been here and am here riding for you guys, you know, in the event that the shit ever hits the fan, which the only way it could ever hit the fan for me is if the Most High allowed it. That's not where I wanted to go with that. But yeah, it's really important right now because, you know, it was written in the scriptures, in all of the scriptures. And then we also see a chronological order of things where, you know, cause and effect, right? 70% of the people in the world took that shot. There's a cause and effect element to that, right? So, you know, if you're one of those people, now is not the time to be waiting for something bad to happen. Now is the time to be actively seeking out, you know, things that can help to get that poison out of your body. And of course, I wrote an article called "If You Took the Shot." You can email me at info@ZaZaAli.com. I'll send it to you. I have two versions. One of them was when I was in super nerd mode and I was like, I got to tell them everything. And so I wrote a 5-page, 6-page maybe article that's like loaded. And then I was like, I need to just write a 1-pager just with my suggestions without all the extra stuff because I know everybody doesn't have the bandwidth of this. So there's 2 versions to that article. But again, your girl has been on the job doing the research and trying to figure this out, not because I'm afraid, not because I'm scared, because I didn't take it, and neither did my son, and neither will we ever. But I research with the intention because I feel like I can figure out the problem. I feel like I can figure out the solution. And when I say I'm just saying that because I can only be responsible for my mind. I know I'm not the only person in the world that has a scientific mind or that's been researching and studying this. And so I'm only saying in terms of my research, but for sure, I know that there are plenty of us in the world that are serious about, you know, taking charge of our post. So that's what I'm doing in this conversation today, taking charge of my post. When I have the masculine energy strong, which In the earlier video I did holding men accountable, even though I really just scratched the surface, to be honest. I could do a 10-part series on that. But I know I'm a little bit more in my masculine energy, you know, when I talk about certain things. And so this is a more so feminine, divine feminine perspective. And again, just giving us tools and resources, including this conversation, because this conversation is a tool and a resource. The other day when we were live, I had a brother at the end of the live come in and tell me that, or tell us in the chat, that he was very upset with himself because over the weekend, over 4th of July weekend, he had broke his 5-year sobriety and had, you know, indulged in alcohol. And it was a very powerful moment. If you guys haven't watched that, you should go back and watch that video. Which one was that? That was, God, I don't even remember. I've been doing so much content. It was like the day before yesterday. I don't know. I'll look. I'll figure it out. But he was acknowledging that, and so we had a moment and we held space. And I went all the way into my divine feminine, and said what God placed on my heart to say, and to kind of carry us all through that moment, because it was a heavy moment. Because you know what that feels like, and because I know and understand the power of the mind, I know that it can spiral. And so you make one mistake, or you're careless, or you are, you know, you go down the wrong path, or you make one error, and then all of a sudden your mind is compounding and beating you up and criticizing you and ridiculing you. And now all of a sudden you went from slipping up one time to like being in a whole vacuum for another year, trying to like come back up for water. And I wanted to make the best out of that situation and his honesty and vulnerability, and try to speak life into him. And so again, that's what this conversation is about, and all of the conversations that are not about worldly things. I'm so over this world, y'all. I really am. Every day I have to fight to keep my mind invested in this game, because I get bored a lot. Even sometimes when I'm doing videos, in the middle of the video, in my mind, I'll just be like, like, I do not, like, I don't care about this, or, you know, maybe I was inspired to talk about it up front, but then I'm just so bored with this world. And the things that I really want to be studying and focusing on and researching is what I'm really getting ready to pour myself into. And so this 30-day challenge I'm doing is kind of helping me with that, just in terms of getting used to being on video again, talking, and, you know, being clear and concise in how I deliver, because that's very important to me. I hate repeating myself. I hate repeating words. I have a lot going on in my brain when I sit down to talk to you guys. And sometimes when I get a little snappy with the chat, it's because I have so much going on in my brain. And, you know, I'll be like on the sun, moon, and stars, and then somebody just randomly come and say, well, why are you wearing a pink shirt? You know what I mean? And then I'm trying to stay here, but I'm like, would you ask me, why am I wearing a pink shirt? Like, are you crazy? So it's all that happening, right? So I'm just talking because I feel like it's relative to the conversation. I'm always holding space. I'm always listening to people. It's what I do. I'm very good at it, actually. You can book a consultation and save 50%. The link is in the description. And that's for a very limited time only, because I think I'm really getting ready to stop doing consultations all the way. I said that last year, and I did stop for like 6 months. But yeah, as this storm continues to grow in the minds and hearts of people, like, yeah, they're going to start gravitating towards and yearning for and clawing at and being very, very like proactive in grabbing at and pulling from people like myself. It's already started happening. It started in 2020. It increased, and then it dropped, and then it increased, and then it dropped. I guarantee you 2026 winter time and moving into next year, the chaos in the minds and hearts of the people is going to increase. And I don't say that like I want that to happen. I 100% do not. But it's kind of already happening right in front of us, right? So if you've ever wanted to work with me or talk to me, now will definitely be the time, because when I draw that line in the sand definitively, I'm not turning back from that. And so what I was saying is I'm always listening to people and I'm always holding space. So sometimes when I just get on camera and just start talking, I think sometimes I just need to be heard, and what's going on in my life or what's going on in my mind. Maybe the average person wouldn't care, but I know the people who actually rock with me and listen to my content, you guys actually are interested in what's going on in my world. And so, yeah, because I'm always thinking too at the beginning of the video, like, don't be long-winded, keep the intro short and all the things, but practical steps to well-being, I have to acknowledge that and embody that for myself as well, right? And so I spend a lot of time by myself, and sometimes I feel like it's not always so healthy. It's been my sort of modus operandi since I was a young child. I know it comes from my I think I felt alone when I was in my mother's womb. I don't think she had the capacity to feel love for me when I was in that space. And so I think I came out into the world sort of carrying that cross, if you will. And my life, one of my greatest master teachers has been to alchemize that. And I think I'm doing a good job at it, because that's why you guys are here with me now, because I have alchemized my pain and turned it into what might be, burgeoning wisdom. I don't know, but something of value for sure, because I'm not here, talking about no silly shit and twerking and showing my ass or any of that. You have to be here for a substantive reason, which I am grateful for. But again, this is practical steps to well-being, not just health. We talk about health a lot. I'm getting a lot of questions about herbs and things like that. I'm going to do a separate video about that, because there's a gazillion herbs, right, that tackle different things. So I think I might have one video or something here saved. I don't know, maybe not. But I'll do a separate video specifically about like herbs and supplements. This is about well-being. And so well-being, meaning mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being, right? Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Make sure you guys like this video, please. I know it's late. It's 9:24 on the West Coast, so it's after midnight on the East Coast. But shout out to everybody just now tapping in. Gentle Killer, is that your name? Practical steps to well-being is 10 to 20% annual returns on your investment. Facts. Greetings, gods. Please, peace, Landosis, right? I'm saying that right. Reefa, peace, queen from Oakland. Peace to the town, my family in Oakland. Peace, people, Brick Road. I'll be trying not to butcher y'all names, but you know how this goes. But what do you love? I don't understand the question. You are very appreciated, Zaza. Much love. Peace. Now to my brother. Very happy to see you here. Pamela, walaikum salam, queen. How are you? It has been a very long time since I've seen you. I'm very happy to see your name, and I hope that you are doing well. And yes, I remember you, just like I remember most of the people that have been interacting with me for a long time. So I'm very happy to see you here, queen. I come in peace. I don't want no smoke. I'm here to enjoy the live. This is a peace offering. Okay, so wonderful. We're gonna magnify that peace offering. And of course, if you would like to make a peace offering to the goddess, you have my Cash App information as well. So I want to start with, let's see. What I did is I created a separate folder that has a bunch of the stuff that I want to talk about in no particular order here, you guys. So just be mindful with me. I'm just going to pull these videos, these screenshots, these things that I saved. I have a reading passage. I don't know if I'll get to that. Like I said, I always put so much into the fold. So just bear with me here. I'm sharing these in no particular order, but again, practical steps for well-being. Talk about the problem of cultural low esteem with the Moorish Nubian. I've been talking about that for the last week. I've been talking specifically about that. I want to talk about the high vibrational tools and methodologies that the original people, the 144,000, the Christ conscious centered beings, the light bearers among us, the alchemists among us. I want to have a conversation that speaks directly to us today. And like I said, I've been talking about that consistently over this last week. STEM professionals duplicating their infrastructure should extinguish their ego trip. Let me carry on.
Every single time you're about to level up massively in life, there is a massive pullback. There's a period of adversity. It is when problems come, stress, pressure. It never feels like that. It never feels like the test that comes before the blessing. But I assure you that it is. If you look at my journey, it's like the stock market. It goes like this over the last 20 years. Like I've been up and then I feel like I'm crashing. I get down and I bounce off whatever that bottom is and I catapult into the next level. It's like very similar to a bow and arrow. When you pull it back, the further you pull, the more pressure backwards, the harder it is. When you let go, the further it catapults forward. But here's the test, guys. Here's what they don't tell you, is that it is meant to try to get you to give up. God himself, the universe, wants to see if you're deserving of what's to come next, right? Are you going to give up? Are you going to tap? Are you going to quit? All you have to do, you don't have to do it perfectly, but all you have to do to get to that next level is survive the adversity and do not, under any and all circumstances, ever tap, give up, bend, break, or fold. Chin up, chest out, walk through it with pride, with all.
I'm going to give that a second and see if that video will play all the way through. It's like 2 seconds left, but it irritates me that it does that.
Honor.
See? All right, fine. You got the point, right? Leveling up and the amount of adversity that comes to us and that kind of seemingly stifles our progress when we are right on the cusp of a breakthrough or a win or a financial gain or making the right connection or meeting the right person or just becoming, living in our true authentic selves, so to speak. And so I agree with what he said. It was spot on. The stronger your spirit gets, the worse the pain of living a misaligned life will become. This is another way to reference depression. The worse the pain of living a misaligned life will become. The stronger your spirit gets, the stronger your mind gets, the stronger your emotional bandwidth gets, the worse the pain of living a misaligned life will become. What a privilege it is to be able to wake up and try again. And as beautiful as this life and this reality is, it's an amazing thing that even myself at different points in my life have gotten to a point where I didn't see the privilege. I felt the weight, I felt the pressure, I felt the strain, I felt the stress, I felt the abandonment, I felt the mistakes, I felt the guilt, I felt the shame, right? I felt all of the things. See, this is why I'm going to stop you in your tracks right there, because I'm not finna do this. I'm going to show this comment, and then I'm going to stop you in your tracks from being able to comment on my content. First of all, who are our people? Because I just did a whole week talking about Young Miami and women that are Black or what you would consider our people that are damaging the minds and hearts of our people and our culture. So I'm not here this is not a race-based conversation. This is a knowledge, wisdom, and understanding-based conversation. If you don't have the acumen, the mental acumen to be able to learn or digest information and content from other people, then this is not the page for you. I'm not asking for your opinion. This is not a survey. If you prefer to get information or wisdom or knowledge from melanated people, then there's a lot of pages and content online where you can actually get that. And so we're going to alleviate you from commenting, because that's your third comment now. That's kind of throwing me off of my train of thought. And I really, this is what I'm saying. When I'm in a space, I come here and I sit here and I give my time, my energy, my mind. I put all this stuff together to try to give us some wisdom and some insight on things that can help us grow. How could you have anything contrary to that to say? I'm reading a book right now, Three Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. It's one of the books I was going to read a passage from. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't understand that mindset. I don't understand that energy as you come amongst the righteous trying to kick up dust. And I feel like somewhere in your mind, you probably, you believe in what you're saying. But this is my show. This is my show. So if I bring somebody to the party, if I bring a quote to the party, if I bring a video to the party, that means I 100% step it. I co-signed it. I don't care what you think about that. This is my show. And if you want to get information and content from melanated people, then again, we all know what to do. It's like, and I you know, when you having these conversations and then you just get random people saying shit to you like that, it's like, bro. Check your buffering and video cache settings, Zaza. So tap in with me, you guys, in the chat room and let me know. Can you see me? Am I buffering? Are you having issues seeing my videos or anything that I've posted so far? Let me know in the chat room, please. I will wait to hear from you guys. No, you can hear me okay, or no. Okay, so Ted said I'm good. Tony said I'm good. All right, cool. So one of the things that I've been talking about over the years, and I know most of you guys are aware, the pineal gland. And I've, in my different videos and presentations, I've shown the piezoelectric, basically surrounding your pineal gland. There is a piezoelectric electricity that's happening in your brain surrounding your pineal gland. And I've also talked about the calcified pineal gland, meaning if you are using fluoridated toothpaste, if you are eating a acidic based diet, a lot of the things that we talk about that are not good for you, that are not healthy for you, it also has a strong impact on your pineal gland and calcifying the pineal gland. And so when we talk about, in Kemet, they called it the seat of the soul. When we wonder why we're looking around and looking at so many people that seem disconnected to love, disconnected to righteousness, connected to, something larger than themselves, part of that is the science of the calcification of the pineal gland. And this is something that I, as well as many others, have been talking about for a long time now. In terms of the video I'm playing, it's a glitch in the system. It'll play 98% of the video, and then the last 2%, it'll just stop and it'll buffer, and then it'll wait a minute, and then it'll play it. So it plays it straight through. It's just that last couple of seconds. I don't know why it does that. I have no explanation for it. It just does it. So yeah, but thank you for that. Make sure you guys like this video, please. And just a reminder for everybody, I'm accepting all love, all reciprocity. My book information is in the description. Cash App, Super Chat, Super Stickers, all the things. And make sure you guys like this video, please, to help me get active in the algorithm. So this video in particular is about the pineal gland. And then I want to come back on the other side of it and talk about what's happening in this reality and how they are intentionally trying to separate us from what we call source or the universe, God, Allah, etc.
Was born with a pineal gland. And that pineal gland is a sensor organ that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves as a receiver and a sender between you, the human being, and the universe. You see, that's where you get your freedom from. Your mind is connected to the universe, which is infinite. Okay? It's infinity. You can do anything with your mind. Everything that you see in its physical form came from the invisible spiritual realm first. It came up in someone's mind. Okay? This auditorium, this building.
I want to say this real quick, and I'm going to pause it because I don't know if that Fuji's video is going to get this messed up. It is a instrumental, so I don't know, but I know you can play it for a little short amount of time. So what he's talking about, though, in terms of the pineal gland being an organ in your brain that serves as a receiver and a sender of information between you and the universe, right? And then the mind, understanding that we live in a mental universe. And so your mind is the little I, and then the universal mind is the big I, right? But it's connected and we are a part of it, and it is a part of us, right? What we have been made to believe is that God is something outside of us. It's God out there, and then it's us down here. But when I say, and when many great teachers have said, I'm God having a human experience named ZaZaAli, a lot of people take issue with that. But it's not said in an arrogant way, not at all, because, you know, little I versus big you, right? There's no comparison. But it is referencing the passage in the Bible that says, ye are all God's children of the Most High God, right? It is underscoring the responsibility of this time that we have here. It is underscoring the limitless potential. It is underscoring that we have a different level of spiritual and mental and emotional backup, but we have to tap into it, right? And so the pineal gland and this, the concept of being connected to the host or to the universal mind, and then how many people that I talk to that feel lost. Imagine that. Just think about that for a second. I got to turn my frequency music on. I will in a second. How many people are actively in the world right now feeling completely lost, disconnected from source, are not tapped in with their passion, are not tapped in with their creativity, and are just out here floating out on a limb?
Wasn't here at one time. It was just in someone's mind. And they took this building, whatever you see in here, and put it on paper, and then produced it from the drawing. But it came from someone's mind. So your mind is very, very strong. And how are you connected with that? Through your pineal gland, which is the sensor organ, like I said, that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves
a sensor organ that sits in the middle of your brain. And around this organ, there are crystal-like crystals. I said crystal-like crystals. They are, you know, don't think of the type of crystals you think of with your mind's eye, but just very small in relativity to the brain and the size of the pineal gland. But there are crystals that surround that gland that, and this is the non-calcified pineal gland. This is the pineal gland that's thriving. And these crystals act as energy sources, and they they stimulate piezoelectricity, right? And so you think about a happy moment, an exciting moment, right? You think about thinking a new thought, a new idea, the light goes off in your brain, and all of a sudden you feel alive and you feel invigorated and you feel excited, right? This is the spiritual representation of the concept of evolution, the Big Bang Theory. Every time you have a new, excited, vivid thought, you are spiritually manifesting a representation of that, right? And then you come to the pineal gland, which is a sensor organ, as he said. So it is highly sensitive to what you put in your brain in terms of what you read, how you think, how you talk, what you listen to, but then also what you take into your body in terms of your food, right? The nasal swabs that they forced everybody to get, not good for the pineal gland. I'm going to be careful about what I say because I don't want to get too deep into that, but not breathing properly, not good for the pineal gland. Fluoridated, toothpaste, not good for the pineal gland. Tap water and drinking tap water, not good for the pineal gland, right? So again, this is a sensor organ, as he mentioned, that is a utensil or utility to keep us tapped in with the wisdom of the Most High. Downloads and uploads, You think about the best idea that you've ever had when the thought came to you. Where did that download or that upload come from? And then the flip side, the worst thought you've ever thought to yourself, the worst thought you've ever thought about yourself, where did that thought come from? Right? So we're talking about picking up on a bandwidth of consciousness based on how well you take care of yourself, based on how well you breathe, based on how well you eat, based on how much you fast, based on what you're paying attention to, where you spend your time. I had a video on the vagus nerve, but then I couldn't find it. And I was wrecking my brain trying to find it before I started this video. So I'm just going to share the particular images that I have. It was very frustrating because I had a really good video on the vagus nerve, but I can't find it. So let me just do these in order that they come up. Did you know that the pineal glands of Nubian fallen soldiers during the Vietnam War were extensively studied? Yeah, I could definitely believe that. Music was taken from the Stephen King movie Sleepwalkers. Your vagus nerve is not just a nerve, it's your body's off switch, and most people have never heard of it. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve of your entire body. Let me make this bigger. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your entire body. It runs from your brainstem all the way down through your heart, your lungs, your gut, your immune system. One nerve, every vital system. And you know, this is really powerful. This is why I feel like we need to talk about and study the human body more. There's so much fanfare and so much, you know, energy focused on technology and how powerful and how wonderful technology is. And I'm just like, if we were studying the physical body and studying what human beings are capable of, we wouldn't be that impressed with technology. I mean, yes, it's only supposed to serve us anyway. People are emphasizing technology and have made it a god, right? But I feel like if we studied the human body and the human brain just a little bit more, we would have a much different understanding of our power and our potential. 80% of the signals of the vagus nerve travel upward from body to brain. Your gut is not just digesting, it's talking to your brain, your heart rate, your anxiety levels, your ability to feel calm, all regulated by this one nerve. Now, this is where yoga becomes critical. And yes, I'm going to talk about yoga today and every day forward, right? 80% of the signals of the vagus nerve travel upward from the body to the brain, right? Your gut is not just digesting, it's talking to your brain, your heart rate, your anxiety levels, your ability to feel calm, all regulated by this nerve. Now, what happens when you do yoga? If this is your body and you're doing this all day, and maybe sometimes you sit down, and when you sit down, you're doing this, right? But all of your energy is basically flowing in a downward flow. When you do yoga, you are downward facing dog is like this, right? All of the asanas are a different process. Sometimes you have your hands up like this, right? Sometimes you have them all the way raised up. But what it is that it is moving the body in a way so that the energy flow is not just in a downward, which the energy flow is that's what it is right now when I'm sitting here, right? The energy flow is downward because of the way that I'm sitting, and even if I was standing. Yoga shifts the energy, and it's like a bottle of fresh green juice. And if you have a bottle of fresh green juice, it just sits around, all of the nutrients are going to fall to the bottom. But when you shake the juice, all of the nutrients go all the way back to the top again, right? It's the same thing with the physical body, with the vagus nerve that it's referencing here, but then also with the detoxing of the blood, right? And moving your blood around, and then allowing oxygen, taking in full deep breaths and allowing the oxygen to move through your body to move the blood around, right? This is why yoga is a very, very, very beneficial instrumental practice, especially if you have any chronic pain, especially if you have anxiety. Actually add chemicals and the fact your body regenerates every 30 days. So wouldn't that mean you are made of those chemicals because they are in and out of the atmosphere from top to bottom? You'll have to ask me that in a way that is a more comprehensive question, because there's like 3 or 4 questions in there. So yeah, the body regeneration, 30 days, that's on a cellular level. Your whole body doesn't regenerate. It's just the cellular system. You're made of those chemicals because they are out in the atmosphere from top to bottom. Yeah, no, it wouldn't mean that you are made up of. See, this is the thing about that technology that we really have to understand. It's connected to energetic sources, right? So whether it's the antennas in the sky that move those particles, or whether it's the towers that are in close proximity that activate them in a different way in terms of how human beings are interacting and engaging with them, those chemicals are operating as transmitters. It's a two-way transmission, right? And so that whole technology is affected by your vibration. So if you have a lighter frequency, if you have a lighter density to yourself, you eat well, you take care of yourself, you're a higher vibrational being, a lighter density being, your body is going to engage in a different way. If you eat Popeyes every day and you are living a life that is not healthy, or, taking care of yourself at all, if you just, with the shit, so to speak, and you have a very dense body and your immune system is low, the technology exasperates, it feeds off of low vibrational energy. So it's a much bigger conversation than just the fact that we're breathing in, because the frequency and the energetic resonance can neutralize it, as well as fasting, as well as the bentonite clay detoxes, which I'm always talking about. So it's not that simple just to answer that question in that way. And then the body regenerates every 30 days, but that's the cells, right? Because the physical body is still what the physical body is, unless you work out, do things to change it. So we're talking about the cellular system where the regeneration is actually happening. And then you have to quantify the regeneration, right? Because a person who's fasting is regenerating their cells at a much greater or more intense or stronger capacity than a person who is eating McDonald's every day, right? That 30-day process is not the same in terms of comparing and contrast. So there's a lot of caveats to that, and hopefully I answered that directly. But yeah, that's another reason why we have to be so mindful and stay on top of our game right now in terms of how we're taking care of ourselves. 10 minutes of the Viparita Karani before sleep. This drains fluid from swollen legs, lowers heart rate, signals the nervous system that the day is over. Sleep is when your brain clears toxic waste and repairs itself. 7 to 9 hours, the non-negotiable function. This is one posture right here. And going back to the point about moving the energy around in the body, because this is basically upside down from how we sit all day, right? Normally the body is in an upward state. And so this laying on the floor and then putting your feet up against the wall, or if you lay in your bed and put your feet up against the headboard and just stay like that for 10 minutes, you'll start to feel the energy and the tingling and the vibration in your legs. It might be uncomfortable for a few minutes, but what it's doing is it's taking the fresh glass of green juice, right, with all the nutrients at the bottom, and it's turning it upside down to make that energy process and that oxygen process and that blood flow process move in another direction. I hope that makes sense. And this is, if I'm talking too fast or if I move past something too quickly, you guys just stop me. This is kind of like in my bag. This is all stuff that I go to sleep and wake up thinking about. So pardon me, just bear with me. You can't force the body to recover. You can only create the conditions for it. Deep sleep requires the nervous system to feel safe. Stress, screens, and overthinking keep the nervous system on guard all night. The body stays in survival mode. Recovery never begins. I've had like 10 people reach out to me about not being able to sleep well since I did the four must-haves for health and well-being video. I've had like 10 people between comments, between emails, and between DMs on Instagram reach out to me about not being able to sleep well. So I'm emphasizing this point, right? Because you see that the sleep is critical to, you talk about cell regeneration and regenerating your body. We should be regenerating every night when we go to sleep, right? And so now, like, I'm sitting in front of a computer, then I have a monitor here. I have this ring light on, which I hate using ring lights, but when it's dark, I have to. I have my cell phone here, right? So there's a lot of technology going on around me. There's a router not too far from me. And I live in an apartment building. So there's the routers of other people around me. So my sleep is really, really critical for me. And I've never had problems sleeping unless I was really stressed about something that was keeping me up at night. What I do know is a couple of ways to improve your sleeping. Number one, magnesium. And Body by Tal, I think is her name. She makes a really good magnesium butter that everybody always talks about. You can also take magnesium supplements. That's just a tidbit of that information. And I can, if you reach out to me and ask me for her link, I think it's like Body Love by Tal, Tal. If you look for her on Instagram, you should be able to find her. Working out. If you are walking, if you are physically active consistently on a day-to-day basis, if you put in an hour of whether it's weightlifting, whether it's yoga, whether it's running, whether it's walking, but physical fitness, if you dedicated yourself to a 1 hour, 3 or 4 days out of the week, I guarantee you it would help with your sleep process, right? Watching TV before you go to bed. Some people can do it and it doesn't bother them. But if you're a person who has sleeping problems, maybe turn off the TV and put an affirmative meditation in the background and with positive stimulating language and the vocal cords and frequencies, right? That will help you to not only get to sleep, but to sleep in the right state of mind. A lot of people spend a lot of time up tossing and turning, right? Also stretching before bed. Doing like a 15-20 minute yoga regimen before bed, stretching your body out, being present, aligning your breath will also help with sleep. And then some people have sleep apnea. Some people deal with snoring and things like that. Your body and your gut and your microbiome is tied to a lot of that too. And if you're not eating healthy, you're not eating well, it's throwing the whole system off. So a lot of times we want to skip that part and just go to a doctor and have the doctor prescribe us a pill. But if you have long-standing snoring or sleep apnea type issues, no, that's probably going to require a lifestyle change for you to get control of that. And that includes your dieting, that includes how much you work out, right? And how you take care of your body, because again, it's a whole system. So yeah, sleeping is critical. I think I have one more in this thread, right? Was it one more? "20 minutes outdoors. Cortisol measurably drops within 20 minutes in green space. Yoga was always practiced outside in gardens, in forests, at rivers. Nature is not the backup. It is part of the practice." And I can't stress this enough. I can tell the difference between when I'm outside and I have sunshine, even when I practice, because I practice yoga at home, right? For the most part now. If I practice in the daytime and the sun is out and, the blinds are open and so you have the natural light coming in, I can be like 4 or 5 feet away from the TV and I don't feel anything. I'm just in the flow. I don't feel any of the energy from the TV. It's not bothering me. It's not affecting my practice at all. If I practice at night in that same space, in that same distance of proximity to the TV, it'll be, I feel all of the energy from the TV. I feel all of the plasma or ELF frequencies or whatever you want to call it. It's a totally different experience for me to practice yoga at night and be in close proximity of the TV versus in the daytime. So what does that tell us? That the sunlight is neutralizing that energy, which is why the sunlight is so critical, right? And so that's one of the ways that I know for sure, like being in the sun consistently, going outside, taking walks, being in nature, being in green spaces, having plants in your home, all of these things will help you with, you know, that not just the well-being, the mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. The color green, and I notice a lot when I'm out in nature, how there'll be like a bright lime green, like this plant behind me, and then there'll be like a dark pine tree kind of green, and then there's the green, the middle green and the palm trees, and then there's the grass green, and then there's the, you know, the different flowers and just all of the multitudes of green. There is something about being in nature and that color force field, those colors impacting the way you feel and the way you're thinking. It's a real thing. Lavender helps, absolutely. When I do my yoga, when I do Shavasana at the end, I put lavender drops on my eye pillows and cover my eyes. And so I'm breathing the lavender in. And then, like you said, you can put lavender on your pillows, spray it on your bed, and sleep with lavender. And that will also help with sleep, as well as chamomile tea. Societe said I go to sleep with meditation music. That's a good look. I'm a yoga practitioner, and 5 Parts Yoga is one of the best yoga YouTube channels. I also see, if I'm looking at my phone too long, I immediately feel my energy becoming dense. This technology is very depleting and on purpose. Facts. And thank you for sharing that. I don't know if I've seen 5 Parts Yoga yet, but I appreciate that. I'll definitely look them up. I do all of my practicing from home now. After 2020, I just, you know what I mean? But I'm disciplined, so I can still, you know, and I go to the beach sometimes and practice. It's a whole different ballgame when you practice outside in nature. But again, if it's walking, if it's hiking, if it's doing yoga, if it's swimming, if it's Tai Chi, if it's walking slowly, if it's walking fastly, whatever it is, we have to make it and to be intentional every single day to go outside and interact and engage with nature. And this is one of the reasons why I'm like, yeah, I've had enough of the big city. I love it. I love you, LA. I love you, California. And yeah, it's time for me to move around. I want to be back in a space where I don't have to have so much access to city life. One meal eaten in silence. Now this in silence thing, I wouldn't go that far, because having family and sitting down with people you care about, or your spouse or your significant other or your children, you ain't got to eat in silence. So I scratch that. No screen, no scroll. Eating in a stress state shuts down digestion. The gut cannot absorb nutrients when your nervous system is on alert. Yogis call it conscious eating. Science calls it parasympathetic digestion. And then also when you're cooking and you're stressed, that energy is going into the food. And so the people who are eating what you have cooked are receiving that energy. And this is also why the concept of, yeah, this was made with love, or this was cooked with love, like, yeah, it's a different frequency.
Water retention in 30 days using this 3-minute daily method, and her face changed dramatically. Number 1, collarbone first. Tap above and below both sides.
You can try this out while they're doing this. He's talking about draining the lymphatic system. So this is for men and women. He's just referring to to women. But in terms of the lymph nodes in the body, and again, the stagnant energy, these are processes that we can do. Keeps you young, for one. Keeps your skin tight, keeps your body and energy flowing. It kind of cleanses your system to do this particular process of tapping the lymph nodes and moving energy around in these specific energy centers in the body. So you can try it while, practice it while he's discussing it.
Collarbone. This opens up the terminus where lymph empties into your bloodstream. Next up, neck. Fingers downwards. This means we get so much tension here. I've seen people actually with vertigo start doing this, and the vertigo literally goes away. Tension here means you got a block.
And let me say this, let me bring myself back on camera, right? So he's talking about doing this, right? One thing I also noticed is that if you take your hands and you move them along your jawbone, and then you move them along these bones here, and even just tapping in these areas, you'll feel gripping and tightness in this whole area. This is where we keep all of our stress in terms of our face and the jaws. And so you can take your fingers and just kind of move them through your face here. You can take your fingers and move them at the bottom of your chin here, and then just move that energy down, and you will start to feel so much stress be relieved from your face. Up here too, in the eyebrows, just kind of taking your fingers and kind of moving through your face, right? This is not for lymph nodes in particular. This is for moving stress and anxiety and what we hold in our face, right? Just taking your fingers and just kind of carefully moving them around the structure of your face, and you'll feel the tension, especially this right here. You'll feel the tension in your jaws. So let me let him carry on.
People are so tender and sore here. Underarms, massage right here. Give yourself a massage. I do this in public. People think I'm kind of a little kooky, but this is great. Abdomen, up and down along the sides. Your gut holds the largest concentration of lymph nodes in your entire body. Don't rush this one. This one feels really good if you do it right. Your parasympathetic is going to turn on. Groin or inside of your thighs, especially people that aren't having bowel movements. This regular circle pressure is going to stimulate those nodes. Back of knees. This is one of the most ignored. I've been doing this for 20 years. Back of knees, 30 seconds per station in order. Finish with 30 seconds of jumping, preferably on a belly con or a rebounder, and then shake it off. You just want to shake. 3 minutes, your lymphatic system will thank you, and it's been waiting for you to do this.
So, thank you very much, Westbred. I'm trying to understand the question. What you got going on for the next 30 days? I don't know. I don't know. I'm up for suggestions. What I do have going on is trying to raise the bar with my content and the type of content that I do and the consistency of the content and creating something exciting and new and beautiful. I don't know. Plus all the stuff that we're talking about here, right? You threw me off with that question, but thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And you got me smiling. So that's always good. So look, he's talking about the lymph nodes, right? And in Keys to Womanhood, I show, you have the energy systems in terms of the chakras. In Taoism, which is Mantak Chia, you have the microcosmic orbit, right? In acupressure, you have all of these energy centers all over the body, but it's basically talking about the placement of energy, the placement of glands, the placement of nodes, the placement of the different, faculties in the body, and how you can use your hands or use your breath or use yoga, right? Or use specific breathing regimens, or use Reiki, or use Tai Chi, or use acupressure, or use cupping. All of those things do the same thing, just in a different way, right? And so the lymph nodes, again, you can search this, or you can come back to this video and just rewatch it again. But if you make this a daily practice, you'll notice because youth, we're all trying to stay vibrant in our faces, right? So that's an important part of it, the lymph nodes. Energy getting stuck and turning into fibroids or disease or chronic pain, it's all connected, right? Also buy EMF for protection devices. Do online search for EMF protection devices. Yes, and Dr. Delbert Blair, the Meta Center out of Chicago, they create diodes, and they are particular to, I assume still, it's been a while since I tapped in with them, but the Meta Center in Chicago, which was Dr. Delbert Blair's, organization and company, they create diodes that you can attach to your phone and attach to your computer or whatever device, right? And so, of course, that's our people. So if they're still in the business for that, we can, definitely look into that. Yes, EMF blocker is great. Also, black tourmaline helps with that. Facts. I have some black tourmaline. Oh, right here. And I keep it, I have like 5 pieces, but I keep it close to me. And I have some in my TV in my room, and then I have some here because I spend a lot of time at my computer. So yes, to black tourmaline, also copper. Have you done Kundalini yoga, Zaza, life-changing and very transcendental experience every time? I've dibbled and dabbled with Kundalini yoga. I can't say that I have practiced it enough to be versed enough in it to say I've done it. I have dibbled and dabbled, but it's definitely on my to-do list of things when I finish dealing with the stuff of this world that I really just need a year away from everything and everybody so I can just really focus on the stuff that I really want to do for myself. But in the meantime, let's see. Let me bring up, I have another video first before I share this particular passage. Let me just make sure I showed that one already. Showed that one earlier. Okay, here's another one. I'll send $50 money order. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Right, like this. Okay, and can you try to move your jaw to the left, like this? Awesome. Now, if you can do that with your jaw to the left, like this, can you take a slow breath in through your nose? Slow out. And let's see if we can do that on the other side. Bring your jaw to the right. Can you still breathe in through your nose? Slow out. Now, if you place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, like that, can you still breathe in through your nose? Slow exhale. Lastly, the last test, can you, as you breathe in through your nose, lift your shoulders to your ears? And exhale through your nose, slowly drop them. See, what you've done here is you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's basically the opposite of that fight or flight, I've just been triggered response. And breath may sound all woo or ridiculous, but in the moment of pure triggered rage, nothing is comparable.
So let me show you guys this picture. I want to say forward fold, and I just assume everybody knows what that means, but I'll just show you the image just so you can see. As someone who has dealt with anxiety
It is
most of my adult life, let me just pause you right quick, my G. And we'll use this one. Save image as image. Okay. Cancel. This is one for sure thing that I know if you are having a bad moment or having a bad day or your mind and your energy is getting the best of you. This is one posture that I know for sure that you can tap into. You, my dog, Zaza. What did I say? Share your PayPal address. Greedy ass YouTube takes up 30% of donations. Yeah, that's why I always share my Cash App, because PayPal, it takes a lot too. And I stopped using PayPal when they started talking about censoring people based on, they were like monitoring what you were doing online. And of course I knew that was only a matter of time before I came up in their list. But even before that, when I was doing my sort of bigger ticket clients, and they were like, my clients would pay and then they would be like, yeah, we're going to put your money on hold for 30 days and then, come back on this date. And it's like, what? So it was that. But then it was also when all the stuff went down with the PayPal trying to basically censor people and monitoring what they say. And you have to be in a certain level of, compliance. I was like, yeah, we're not doing that because it's only a matter of time before the shit hits the fan for me. So with Cash App, I don't have to pay anybody anything. That's why I always share my Cash App, and I'm going to share it again for anybody that might be interested. So this is the posture that I'm referring to. And if you deal with any sort of anxiety, any sort of stress, this is the standing forward fold, Uttanasana. The full pose is straight, back legs as straight as you can get them. But then you can also bend at the hips, right? And bend the knees. But then you can also use a block. The reason why I'm stressing this particular posture is because when you are bent over, if you're having anxiety and you hold anxiety in your chest, and so you have difficulty breathing, your mind starts getting the best of you, everything is going haywire, you feel like you are, like you wigging out and like you can't get control of things, stop, bend over, fold your arms like this, which we call forward fold, forward fold with crossing your elbows, and just bend over and just breathe. What you're doing is you're opening up the heart chakra area so that the energy can flow through that area. Because when you're having anxiety, your chest is tight, right? You're having a moment and you can barely breathe and you hold on to your heart, right? You feel like you're having a heart attack. Been there. If you do the forward fold and just stop and give it like 3 minutes, just bend over as in a comfortable comfortable position as you can, and just slow your breathing down. It'll help you come back to the moment. It'll help you remember who you are. It'll help you remember you're safe, right? That there's no harm in your direct vicinity. It'll take you out of flight or fight mode. Forward fold. Standing forward fold, excuse me. Okay, we did him. Let's see. What's this guy talking about?
Wins a Nobel Prize for discovering how the body eats its own damaged cells when it doesn't receive food. What exactly is happening inside your cells when you skip a meal? In 2016, Yoshinori Ashumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology for mapping a process that your cells have been running since the beginning of human existence. He called it autophagy. When your body goes without food long enough, it stops waiting for external resources to do a self-audit. Damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, bacterial overgrowth, viruses, precancerous cells, your body starts tagging them and starts breaking them down, and then it starts recycling the parts. It's your own built-in cellular cleanup crew, and it only clocks in when you stop eating. Your body doesn't need more input. Sometimes it just needs you to get out of the way. But hang tight if you want more videos about fasting, how I've done over 100 days.
So, autophagy, which is basically your cellular cleanup crew that only gets activated when you stop eating. A lot of the health issues that I talk to people about, and I talk to a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of different things, if they cleaned up the way that they eat and if they fasted more consistently, and of course, people never think it's that easy. We always think that we have to have a doctor prescribe us or, check us out. I had a consultation today, and I also had a question in my Ask Me Anything on my membership channel about, going to the doctor for checkups. And I'm like, I'm so secure in the way that I take care of myself and my health and well-being. I don't have to go get checked up for anything. My body is telling me what's going on with me. And if a complication did come up or does come up, I'm going to go to research and figure out the symptoms and go talk to some health some holistic health practitioners, right? I'm going to research the herbs. I'm going to figure out, what I can do in order to navigate going to the hospital and giving those people my money. Memory is also a big thing that comes up a lot. A lot of people are losing their brain cognitive sort of function, right? A lot of that has to do with wearing those masks for extended time because your brain needs oxygen. And when you deplete your brain of oxygen and then you're breathing in the oxygen that you're supposed to be breathing out, the dirty air, so to speak, you're breathing it in. So you're like doubling down on the toxins within your body. But yes, so a lot of people are dealing with brain fog. It's those swabs that they put in people's nose as well. It's relative to the amount of barium and aluminum that's in our skies that we're breathing in. That's directly connected to a lot of the Alzheimer's, etc. Lion's mane, rosemary. There's some tea and tinctures that you can make with rosemary, ginkgo. I said I wasn't going to do herbs today, but I just thought about this because somebody asked me a question about memory today. So I'll do a separate video on this because there's more, but specifically lion's mane, ginkgo, and rosemary tinctures and teas. And if anybody has anything in the chat room you want to add, because I feel like there's like 5 other things that are on the tip of my brain that I'm not saying. And I would add fasting to that as well, because you're slowing down everything when you fast. So your cognitive abilities, you know, we talk about rewiring the brain and rewiring your neurological system. All of that stuff is happening when you're fasting, right? And there's different types of fasts you can do. You don't only have to do no food. You can do a fruit or a living food fast, meaning salads and fruits, right? And smoothies, no dairy, because that would be counterproductive. You can do just a juice fast, or you can do water and tea, right? So you can do a fast 1 day a week. If you've never fasted before, pick a Wednesday and just do a raw food fast, right? And so get your body used to not eating as much, and then used to these periods where you're only putting healthy nutritional things into your diet. But I cannot stress this enough, especially if you live in a major city in close proximity to the towers, all of the Wi-Fi stuff we're dealing with, these screens. That's whether you live in the city or not. The city just adds insult to injury. If you have an inconsistent diet and eating pattern, if you are, stressed out and worried consistently, if you feel disconnected from source, or you feel lost, right? Or you have chaos and drama in your world continuously and you don't know how to break those cycles, I cannot stress fasting enough. What do you do to block the white lines, or do you just detox and cleanse? So I've seen videos of people where they show like they're creating these concoctions outside of their houses. I saw several of them with copper sort of, wiring and a couple of other things where they can like limit the chemtrails over their house, or limit the white lines. I'm trying to be careful with my language, over their house. I think when I'm back in a space where I live in an open environment where I can do studies and experiments like that, I'll do that. In the meantime, you're still breathing it in. It's like if you're in a pool and you're in 12 feet and somebody's in the kiddie pool part of it. If they urine in that part of the pool, it's eventually going to make it to 12 feet. It's like in our atmosphere. So it's everywhere. We're breathing it in. It's in the water. It's in the soil. I do think we need to be doing experimentations where we can figure out how to zap that poison from above our heads, right? So I'm here for that. I'm just not in a position to be consistently like doing the research and the experimentation and keeping the data and whatnot, especially here in LA. They 4th of July, they hit us hard here. The day before the 4th and then the day of, because they knew a lot of people were going to be outside. So for me, it's definitely the heavy metal detoxing, it's the fasting, it's the herbal supplements, it's all of those things cumulative that I use, especially the bentonite clay. I feel like the bentonite clay is one of the most beneficial detox methods to sort of navigate, get those particles out of the body. Intermittent fasting is helpful too. Yeah, I eat 1 meal a day. So for me, it's just a way of life, intermittent fasting. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. Everybody who's joining me, please like this video. I find it interesting. Well, I'm not going to go into that. I won't go into that. Let me come back to this real quick. Agree. We should be experimenting and researching. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I wish I lived in close proximity to a an actual volcano, because I would be doing a whole different type of experiment, but soon come. The most important subject you'll ever study is your own patterns, why that comment stung, why that reaction, what that reaction was protecting, which childhood strategy you're still running at full speed in situations that ended years ago. Unexamined, you don't have, unexamined, you don't make choices. You make reruns. The moment you can watch yourself react instead of becoming the reaction, you get something back that autopilot took from you, a say in your own life. This seems like such a simple thing, but this is a really, 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 really big thing. And especially now, because the macrocosm and the microcosm, how you're acting in your individual life, how you're treating yourself, how you're engaging with the world. You know, we talk a lot about how the world engages with us, right? Racism, the system, the government, politics, right? This is all how the world engages with us. But how are we actually engaging with the world, right? And so this in particular, that comment that stung, right? One thing for me for years was when I told people that I was mixed, and I did it in an interview with Brother Rich, and the topic came up. And so because the topic came up, it was relative to my personal experience. And so I mentioned it and mentioned, my upbringing and how that affected me. And I can't tell you, since I said that, how many negative comments, sometimes my filter picks up comments before they ever even reach me. But people say some of the most mean-spirited, I'm talking about and remember, I'm just here to do good. You know what I mean? I'm not even really trying to I never was trying to have a big platform. This all just kind of unfolded for me organically. This is my life's work. But the things that people have said to me, just in terms of me being mixed, and I would get triggered a lot because not even that I wasn't comfortable with who I am, but because I did not have a mixed race reality. I didn't grow up with a white mother who I had the benefit of having the white side of my family and all that. I didn't have any of that, right? And then I grew up in Oakland, and my family was crazy as hell and dysfunctional and all the things. But, I grew up in a dark-skinned family. Everybody in my family was dark-skinned until, my nieces and nephews later on down the line. So for me, dark skin was always a standard of beauty. I never had a lot of the issues that a lot of mixed race or light skinned people have in terms of how they see, dark skinned people or people in their family. I just never had a lot of those hangups because of the way that I was raised. But once I publicly was like, yeah, my mom's white, my dad's black, it was like the floodgates for all of the mean spirited people just trying to find a way to dig at me. And people over the years have been trying to find ways to dig at me, my looks, the size of my head, how much I talk, pseudoscientists, all the things. And so a lot of this stuff would really trigger me or get under my skin. And now, it takes time and, process of the learning curve of social media. Remember, I didn't grow up in a world with social media, thank God. So I didn't have to, we had regular peer pressure. The peer pressure is on steroids now. But yeah, I didn't grow up in this reality. So I have a much deeper sense of who I am, in real time. And so, with the learning curve and having to navigate all of that, now I'm able to ignore so much stuff. You guys think sometimes in the chat room, I'm giving negative comments too much energy, but I promise you the amount of things that I ignore far outweighs the things that I address. But in me recognizing certain comments that would trigger me, not just online, but having a conversation with somebody, right? Or, there was a time when Mother's Day was really, really difficult for me. I would just go into this tailspin around Mother's Day. Why? Because everybody's happy about their mom. I never had that experience. Or, different things. We all have things, family gatherings, family meetings. I'm not that close to my family. And for multiple reasons. And the main reason is we're on two totally different trajectories of consciousness, right? And so just a lot of things that I've had to like deal with and grow from in my own personal life, and studying myself. That's why I say knowledge of self is different than knowledge of yourself, right? Knowledge of self is Kemet, is the original people of America, is Black history in America. It is, the studying the way the mind works, studying, your physical anatomy. That's something that is particular to you, but then it's particular to more than just you. It's particular to a lot of people, maybe everybody. Knowledge of yourself is what makes you tick, what inspires you, where do you fall short consistently, what are your negative patterns or beliefs about yourself, what is the negative self-talk that's always ringing in your mind no matter what do you think you're good at, what do you think you're bad at, do you feel worthy of love, do you feel like a good person, are you a good person, what's your reputation, how do you treat other people, how do you receive other people, how do you process information, what makes you spaz out, what makes you feel comfortable and safe, right? Knowledge of yourself. And so this is the timeline right now where there's no more running from the knowledge of yourself. I don't know how many times I can say that and how many different ways I can say that. And I stress it because I know we're all like, focus on the money, focus on the bag, focus on your physical body, sovereignty, right? But if you don't have sovereignty of the mind, if you don't have spiritual sovereignty in terms of your connection to source, if you don't have emotional sovereignty where you can maintain peace of mind in spite of a world that's in full-blown chaos, if we get to that point, right, then you're going to fumble whatever bag you've saved, or you're going to fumble whatever potential, sort of what you stored up in the meantime, because this is a spiritual war. So there's no getting around this. Whatever it is that you fear, you got to deal with it. And it might be pertaining to somebody else, or it might be pertaining to yourself. That difficult conversation, unfinished, goals, being indecisive, not staying true to your goals, not staying committed, lack of confidence with yourself because you start stuff and you don't finish it. Whatever it is, we got to deal with it. We got to deal with it. Drink chlorella powder or take chlorella tablets on a regular basis. Facts. And chlorophyll. Chlorella is one of those specific heavy metal detoxes, though. So yes, absolutely. Are you thinking about going back to Atlanta? Yes, I am. Not Atlanta proper. I could never live in Atlanta. The frequency is too low. No disrespect. But somewhere in the vicinity, because I know the terrain, because it's a heavily melanated population, because the cost of living on the outskirts, because of the greenness, because of the proximity on the East Coast and where it's at and how I can move around. I really want to have like one place in America and then one place somewhere else. That's ideal for me. That's what I'm working towards right now. But I'm definitely going to be leaving California. I think 2026 is for sure going to be my last year here. Peace, Marsha, or Marshall G, or Marsha Lag. The whites of my eyes turned light brown, and I got 2 freckles in my eyes within the past 3 years. My eyes were never like this. What can I do? I hear there's no way to reverse it without surgery. So are we talking, this sounds like something to do with the liver or the kidneys? And when you say reverse it, does that mean that you have been diagnosed or you self-diagnosed? What are you thinking in terms of what it could potentially be? Because I know the eyes turn yellow from a lot of alcoholic drinking. I know sometimes the kidneys, if you are not, your kidneys are not healthy and functioning, that can cause that. And then I also know that could be liver problems too. So give me a little bit more context on that. My father is Native American and my mother is dark-skinned, ADOS. Heard every color is a myth there is. Yeah, and I just got to the point now where I'm just like, bring your best. You know what I mean? Whatever your perspective is, like if you challenge me, it's not going to go well in any capacity. Like I'm confident in myself, who I am, what I've built, what I've accomplished. Like my parents, my dad was my primary parent, but my dad was like a part-time parent. He made sure that he had other women in my family taking care of me. So he would give them money, make sure my school bills were paid and whatnot. Believe me, my dad wasn't even on the job. Life was my greatest parent. Life has been my parent. So I learned on the job, so for anybody that's trying to knock me down or make me feel bad about myself or anything like that, nah, I've overcome way too many trials and tribulations. It's just not going to work. I'm just too confident in myself, in the right way though. Holly Berry in the house. I'll take that. That can never be anything but a serious compliment to be compared to the incomparable, beautiful Holly Berry. So I take that. For some reason, whenever someone says something completely ridiculous, I mentally check out automatically. That is a beautiful characteristic and trait to have. I have not gotten to that level of wisdom yet. I am definitely a sensitive person, and I would be lying if I didn't say that these things that people say, especially the hurtful things, especially when I'm trying to do good, it definitely affects me. I don't go in a corner and cry, obviously, but it's just like, if you spend your life trying to do good for or be of service to people, and then you got that kind of energy around you, it's not a good look. Charlotte is definitely a beautiful place, and I know several people that live there. So there's that. Yes, my intuition told me you were going back to Georgia. Yeah, I'm definitely considering it. Self-diagnosed. Okay, so yellow eyes is jaundice. So, but it could be jaundice, but it could also be kidney and liver. So the way that I would approach that, first of all, I wouldn't listen to anybody else who says, see, and that's what I'm saying, the freckles, sometimes that's nothing though. So what I would do is research it and figure out what it could potentially be. But I'm feeling like the kidney and the liver needs to be cleaned and detoxed. And that's just me with some very basic information, right? Because the yellowing of the eyes kind of tie back to both of those things. So that's what I'm thinking about it. I would definitely do, the full bentonite clay detox, because that's going to clean your whole internal system out. I would definitely get on the chlorophyll, add that into your regimen, the chlorella, add that to your regimen, because both of those things are full body detoxes. Yeah, the liver and the kidneys. There's a couple of other things that come to my mind about the liver and the kidneys, but my brain is moving a little too fast. If you send me an email, info@ZaZaAli.com, when my brain slows down, the stuff that I'm thinking, I'll be able to articulate it in the right way. So just send me an email and remind me of this conversation, and then I'll send you some resources. But I definitely think going after cleansing and detoxing the liver and the kidneys would be the way to go. I would not talk to or pay attention to anybody that tells you that it's reversible or that you can't fix it or that you can't change it. I would not allow that language, that conversation, that energy, that mentality. I don't care what doctor said it. I don't care what surgeon said it. I would not pay attention to that at all. That's the mental part of it. As a young male who actually doesn't want to have just casual sexual experiences, I've been having a super tough time connecting with like-minded women my age. They're almost repulsed by my maturity. It's funny because you sound like my son. My son talks a lot about how fast and sexually advanced the young women in his age range are, which is another reason why I'm constantly talking about, what I talk about in terms of like the male-female dynamic and the impact that it's having in the bigger scheme of our relationships. There is an ebook about sex transmutation, it's transmuting sexual energy. So the book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita, you got to get that book if you don't have it already. Montauk Chia, the Taoist, he has a book particular to women, and then he has a book particular to men. Get the book particular to men because we're getting into the deeper metaphysical sciences of the male anatomy and how to ejaculate as well as to control your sexual energy and transmute it so that you can use it for higher purposes. And then this ebook, I have it saved. It's if you type sexual transmutation for men, you should be able to find it. The guy's name is like Paul or Steve, or it's like a basic regular name. And if you can't find it, it's an ebook. It was free online for the longest. And if you can't find it, email me because I have it somewhere on one of my hard drives. But basically, when you get to this stage, and again, The Way of the Superior Man, David Dita, Mantak Chia, sexual energy as it pertains to men, when you look that up, you'll be able to find it. When you get to this point where you're not able to find men or women, not you, just for both opposite sex, some women have this issue, some men have this issue, then you have to be intentional about transmuting that energy, right? And so meaning, the energy that men would normally use in lust or watching porn or, sexual gratification, being intentional about picking up a hobby or a skill set or, a means of discipline, a martial arts, a yoga, a Reiki, going back to school, but finding a way to direct that energy towards something that you can transmute into something higher and more beneficial for yourself. I can't think of the name of the ebook. I have it saved, but if you search sexual transmutation for men, you should be able to find it. And the guy's name is like Paul or Steve, or he has a real basic first name. It's been a while since I looked at it, but I used to send this ebook to my male clients when I was, working in a one-on-one capacity with my male clients who were struggling with the same sort of thing. So yeah, check that out and check those books out. David Dita is definitely a go-to in terms of dealing with sexual energy, overcoming, lust. Not saying you're struggling with it, but you are, dealing with women who are, right? So there's that. To everything I ever lost, thank you for setting me free. A lot of us need to forgive and let go. Somebody did you wrong. Your parents mistreated you or mishandled you. Baby daddy left you for dead. Children's mother won't let you see your children. Like, we have a lot of pent up energy that becomes viruses and diseases in our bodies because we have emotional struggles or things that we are emotionally tied to that we need to let go. I'm sitting here and I don't know if you guys can hear the helicopter above me. Can you hear it? It's like right above me. Usually I hear it somewhere in the distance. It's like hovering right over my head. Can you guys hear that? Like right now. Stephen Gallagher, facts. That's it. Perfect. Good job. Stephen Gallagher is his name. That's it. And what's the name of the ebook so they can search it and pull it up, or you can just drop the link if you have it. Thank you for that. Good looking out. And yes, Mantak Chia. So anyway, the helicopters in the sky are like throw me off. This is how I know I can't be in LA for too much longer, It's like this, and it's right above my head. When I first moved to LA, it was nostalgic, right? Because we thinking that Boys in the Hood, the whole scene with when he got mad, he was crying, and Nia Long and all the things, and yeah, so it's this sort of nostalgic element of LA, but like, nah, bruh, it's not good for the nervous system because one, you feel like there's a crime in progress, maybe somewhere close to you, maybe not, but it's just the noise. Oh, and let me tell you guys this. So I talked in a previous video about this couple who went into the hills of LA and they found these speakers, allegedly. I haven't shown this because I haven't done any research on it. And I don't want to be one of those people, right? I gotta do my due diligence. But this couple allegedly found speakers in the mountainsides while they were hiking in LA. And it was like this loud, staticky white noise. You know what white noise? Okay, so in my day, it really makes me sound old, but it's fine. When the TV station would go off, or like if you couldn't get reception, you would hear that static, right? The screen would be static, you hear the static. in the AOL days, when you first connected, when you heard that connecting kind of thing, it's kind of there too. I'm trying to think of what we would equate it to now. It's a white noise. It's like a frequency, a very subtle frequency sound. Anyway, I'm laying in the bed the other night and I got the TV off. I'm because I think it was the day after 4th of July. So my mind was just completely overstimulated with the fireworks, everything. I needed a break, right? So I'm laying in the bed and I have my hand on my ear and I'm kind of hearing this white noise, right? This kind of like staticky noise, but I'm like, my TV's not on, my phone's not anywhere near me. What the hell is this sound? So I think about the video with the white noise, right? So I'm like, okay, am I hearing this on the outside or am I hearing this in my brain, right? So I put my hand next to my ear so that now there's a barrier between the outside sound and the inside sound. And when I tell y'all, this shit was like it was in my brain. Like I had a computer. I don't even know the words to describe it. It kind of freaked me out for a minute because again, I'm like doing this and then I'm taking it away. I can hear it. But when I put my hand close to my ear, I can really hear it. And I know my hand is creating a barrier there. So that doesn't mean it was in my brain. It could just be that my hand sort of embellished the sound. But there is something happening, y'all. It might be the cell towers. It might be the power grids. It might be the antennas. I heard that shit like it was in my brain. And it kind of tripped me out. So I'm just saying, now I'm hearing these helicopters. It's just like this ongoing, there's always noise stimulation. There's always activity. There's always movement. There's always like just constant stimulation. And I'm over it. I have my house in Atlanta, not in Atlanta. I never lived in Atlanta, but on the outskirts of Atlanta, I never heard anything. And I'm craving that again. So yeah. The helicopter above you, okay, she said you can't hear it. Beautiful. The helicopter above you means you are transmitting stuff they don't want. Yeah, or some random drug addict broke in somebody's house and now they're on the run. Or somebody got shot. You know what I mean? Like it is LA and I'm in a good neighborhood. I'm not on the turf, but it's LA. It's like any major city. You're never too far from the riffraff. Earlier in the live, I thought you said you were going in on a 30-day challenge of some kind. I may have misheard you. Yeah, I was talking about the 30-day challenge of making content. I'm challenging myself every day to make content. I've missed 2 days, but the 2 days that I missed, I doubled back the next day and I did 2 videos. So today is a double video day because I missed yesterday. And I'm not only 30 days of content, but like I want to talk about stuff that matters. I want to talk about substantive things like this conversation. This is food soul. This is soul food. This is not trending topics. This is not gonna make me blow up overnight. I'm not going viral for anything I said in this video. It's not a major win in terms of the algorithm or the statistics and the data, but this is stuff that I actually want to talk about. So for me to be able to hold an audience when we're talking about this type of stuff means a lot to me, you know? So that's what it was, 30-day challenge for content and the quality of content in terms of what I'm talking about. I remember when the national anthem would play before the TV station signed off for the night. I mean, yeah, you know, and those were the days. I don't regret my age at all. I'm so thankful that I lived in the world before social media and the internet. So I saw the before and after, you know? Most people in the States are made up of different ethnicities. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so let me see. I have a few more things to share with you guys, and then I'm going to let you guys go. I think I covered my bases with my videos, right? Oh, yeah, this one. What is this lady talking about? Let me see. I be saving so much stuff. I had like, telling y'all, my brain be working overtime. Let me see what this lady is talking about. I feel like this was important.
known by one person heals something that being liked by many never could. Research on social connection and nervous system health shows that the physiological benefit of genuine human connection is not produced by the number of people who know you. It is produced by the depth to which any of them knows you, and the specific healing that comes from being fully known and truly seen, received without judgment, accepted in the unpolished, unmanaged version of yourself is a category of experience that broad social approval cannot replicate regardless of how much of it you accumulate.
Now, here's the caveat. We are actually supposed to get this from our parents. Out the gate. This is supposed to be, we're supposed to have two strong, loving, organic relationships with a woman and a man, a mother and a father, both of the prototypes, avatars, etc. We're supposed to come out the gate with this, with two healthy, high-functioning relationships that reflect genuine human connection. And these are people who fully know you. And so I'm saying that to emphasize the point that many, if not most of us, have never been properly loved, right? And we got to deal with that. We got to sit with that, not to stir in it or to, use it as an excuse for whatever, but to understand and underscore the importance of loving ourselves and learning how to love ourselves properly. And then being careful and specific and intentional about the people that we let in our lives. Because the less careful and specific and intentional we are, then the scragglers start coming through, and then they hurt you and they betray you and they abandon you. And now you're in a loop. Where I always say, where one cannot find like-minded individuals, one should be found alone. That's a difficult thing. And that was another one of the sort of challenges that the Most High presented to us in 2020, where do you have the courage to walk this walk alone if you have people in your family or that are connected to you that are trying to get you to do things that are not in your best interest?
Research on loneliness and social neuroscience shows that the most physiologically damaging form of loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of many people and the absence of the felt sense of being truly known by any of them. You can have a full life, a full calendar, a full social circle, significant public presence, and carry the specific loneliness of never having been fully received as yourself. Research on therapeutic change and healing shows that one of the most transformative experiences available to the human nervous system is the experience of bringing the most defended, the most hidden, the most protected part of itself into the presence of another person and having it received without consequence, without judgment, without the withdrawal that the nervous system had predicted. And that experience, if it's repeated with consistency, begins to update the implicit belief that the real version of you is too much to be loved. And no amount of being liked can produce that update. Only being known can. This is why the person who truly knows you is not interchangeable with the crowd that approves of you. They are not the same thing. They do not produce the same thing. And the healing that is available in genuine knowing is not available anywhere else. So here's your practice. I want you to identify one person in your life who knows the most real version of you. Invest in that relationship this week. A conversation that goes deeper than usual, a truth you have not said yet. Because that relationship is not just meaningful. Research shows it is one of the most physiologically protective things in your life. If you want to dive in deeper, comment quiz below and I'll send you my free nervous system quiz. I personally read every response.
So here's the thing, what's so powerful and critical about what she said, right? Because the first thing is that you have to be open to being known. I recognize about myself because of my life trajectory, the way I was raised, having to do everything for myself, think everything, figure out everything on my own, that it was a defense mechanism for me to not allow people to know me. And so it made me a great listener because I always wanted to listen and learn everything I could about the other person, not even for strategically. I think I became so good at it because I wanted to keep the conversation off of me. Mind you, I'm not doing this consciously. I'm not, I probably started this when I was 15, 16 years old. I wasn't consciously doing it. I realized in my 30s that this was what I was doing, but it made me a great listener, right? But I also got in my 30s and realized damn, nobody really knows me. and, you know, parents to the side, because I talked about that. And so I had to realize that I had kind of set myself up and set my relationships up where I wanted to know everything about them. And I wasn't telling them anything, not of value and of depth about me, you know? And so being known by someone and being vulnerable and naked, as we say, emotionally, but then you also have to know yourself. And a lot of times we don't know how to be vulnerable or to be, you know, our true authentic self with other people because we have not tapped into that. We don't know how to have the difficult conversations. We don't know how to just say, I'm sorry, or I apologize. I did this wrong. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to communicate this. I feel some type of way. And, you know, like these emotional triggers, these mental triggers that we have, and acknowledging them, acknowledging that there are hidden parts of ourselves, right, that we want to share, that we need to share with somebody else. Having the discernment of who, when, where, and why is one thing, but like being honest and open about that. I had to be honest and open with that about myself. Like, damn, nobody knows me. I'm talking about in my 30s. When I had to sit with that, and at this point, I'm a mom, you know, and your children know you in a way that nobody else knows you, but your children don't know all of you. It just comes with the territory. You know, most moms, when they cry at night, their children never know. Most of our stress and strain as parents, our children never know. They never know the full financial struggles we deal with. They never know about the trauma we experience when we grow up, or the worst thing that ever happened to you, or what you're really afraid of. Our children don't know us fully. They know our flaws and our shortcomings that nobody else sees. They know the best parts of us because obviously that's what we're trying to give them every day. But our children do not fully know us, right? And so having to acknowledge that, and then to be like, well, what would that actually take? And so it's a process. Like, I'm acknowledging that, and she acknowledged that as well. And then the other side of that question is, are you that someone for somebody else? Are you the person that somebody else, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's your cousin or your auntie or your baby mama or your best friend or your neighbor, are you that somebody for anybody else? Vulnerability is a superpower. I know, because the most vulnerable things that I've talked about on my platform have the most powerful effect. When I do videos like this and I talk about my life, which is all, I was always like, I don't want to talk about me. It's just boring. Like, when I talk about my life and my real experience and my trials and tribulations and all the stuff I've been through, it has the most powerful effect, right? Because it's relatable, and because in the bigger scheme of things, we're all just trying to figure it out and navigate this crazy reality. So please like this video if you're just now chiming in. Thank you so much. It helps me in the algorithm. I'm accepting all love and reciprocity by way of Cash App, super stickers, super chats. This is my second video today. And both of these videos today have been me giving you guys a different side of, you know, me dealing with discussing men in particular, and now talking about well-being, because I know that things are getting ready to turn up in a major way on this planet. And if you turn up on yourself right now and turn within, you will be creating a barrier and a buffer for those things impacting you the way that they're going to impact a lot of people. I wrote down this list of things, and I know there's some chats I want to read, so just bear with me for just a second. A list of things, and I pulled this from somebody's post on Instagram. I forget whose name it was. I just jotted down a couple of notes. There was like 20 things, and out of those 20, I took like 5 things, but they were just suggestions that we kind of all know, but just to kind of reiterate the point of practical steps for well-being. Deal with your sleeping issues. If you have sleep apnea, if you have snoring issues, if you have a restless mind, we talked about that earlier in the video. You have to address that and be intentional about it. If I had a snoring problem and I sleep quiet as a mouse, but if I did, I would be researching. I'd be in Japan trying to figure out how to get that shit cleared up, right? A lot of that ties into your gut and the way that you eat, but I already talked about that. earlier in the video. Identify negative patterns and negative habits. Invest in one skill that opens a different door. Maybe go back to school, maybe get a license, maybe learn a craft, maybe learn a trade, maybe research something that you've been fascinated for a long time about that you never actually looked into. Invest in one skill that opens a different door. Create one morning habit just for you and commit to it. That means when the babies wake up for school, if the children are up at 7, you need to be up at 6:30. If your spouse comes in late at work at the same time you wake up, you need to wake up earlier. But I think, one morning habit for mornings and nights is to create a breathing regimen. I can't stress that enough. Having a 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. And the breathing pattern or the breathing practice to activate the vagus nerve, which we talked about earlier, is you could do like a 4-2-8, breathe in for 4 counts, pause for 2 counts, breathe out for 8, pause for 2 counts, breathe in for 4, pause 2, out 8, pause 2. So taking a slow deep breath in through the nose for a 4 count, pause for 2, and then slowly exhale for 8. Pause for 2, and then repeating that for 5 minutes. Doing that in the morning and doing that at night is a suggestion. And then do one new thing once a week or maybe twice a month. Something new, something different. Living, acting, and moving with purpose. Being intentional about the quality of your life and how you're spending your time and what you're putting your energy into. Posture, slouching. It says so much. It weakens your aura. And I'm saying this because I'm into yoga, but I'm also tall, right? So yoga is mandatory for me because, I can't be 65 and starting to hunch over. I just can never see that for myself. So I'm working on it now. I've been working on it for 20 years. But to me, posture and sitting up straight is everything, right? It speaks to confidence. It speaks to presence. It speaks to self-awareness. It speaks to confidence. It says so much. And it's also the best thing for your body, right? You're not supposed to be slouching like this. If you ever see me doing a video and I'm slouching like this, stop the video, stop everything, send me a DM, send me a message, tell me you reject this message because my posture is not where it needs to be. I'm being funny, but I'm just saying. When you see me in my videos, I'm sitting up straight like this, and I'm not even thinking about it. It's because I practice yoga consistently. So if you work on your posture and being mindful of your posture and slouching, then that's a beautiful sort of representation of your confidence in yourself, how you show up in the world, but also that you care about your body and that you're taking care of your body. I just did the breathing regimen, activate the vagus nerves, 4-8. We talked about fasting. Obviously, creativity. Obviously, all of us should have something right now that we are pouring our creativity in. Maybe it's tied to money. It doesn't have to be, though. We should have a creative outlook and a creative expression that we do consistently. We all need to really level up right now. And I don't want to say that like pressure, like another thing to add to your to-do list, because that's not the vibe, the frequency we're on right now. We can see what's happening in the world. There are a lot of sort of warning signs. There's a lot of chaos, right? We're in a red summer for sure. And I'm saying that because multiple cities have had red skies. I was in Oakland when they had the fires in these last years and the sky turned orange. It was crazy. I have videos in my phone. Right. So there's all these prophetic things happening, earthquakes, war in diverse places. And you know what I mean? Like all of these things are happening around us. And so we have to find a sanctity in our minds. We have to find refuge in our minds and in our bodies, and to be able to tap into a place and a space within ourselves that will help us to navigate whatever is happening in the world. And so it's really the time now when I say level up, I don't mean like pound the pavement. I mean, like meditate. I mean, like be still. I mean, like turn off social media. Deal with those patterns and those negative habits that we talked about. Deal with your fear. You know, if your lower nature, if you can't control yourself sexually, that's the work. If you can't control your mindset and going into a tailspin, that's the work. If you are self-sabotaging yourself consistently, that's the work. If you don't have control of your diet, that's the work. If you feel out of shape and you struggle to get up a case of stairs, that's the work, right? If you are prone to jealousy and envy and you online, you know, stalking people's pages and feeling some type of way because they living better than you, that's the work, right? It just depends on where you are. There's no one way, right? In my Father's house, there are many mansions. There are many paths to your higher self, but you got to set the intention. You have to set the intention. We have to be serious about our lives right now. Not serious and like, oh my God, the world is ending. No, serious like I'm driving this ship. Not the government, not the white man, not the person who wronged me, not the relationship I'm in that I hate, not the business I've been doing for 20 years that I hate, not the job that's running me into the ground. No, I'm driving this ship. And you have to ask yourself, who's driving your ship? And then being intentional about taking control of it. And so again, it's not a one size fits all type situation. You got to know yourself. You got to be listening to yourself, paying attention to how you're thinking, how you're feeling, your triggers, all of that. So that's why this video is called Practical Steps to Well-Being. It's all stuff that people are like, yeah, that sounds good, but I ain't trying to hear that shit. Okay. Well, I hope you sleep well at night. I hope you feel good about the person that you see in the morning when you wake up and look in the mirror, you know, because we all want peace. That's one thing I know for sure. All of us want peace. And we're all trying to find a way to find it, to get to it, to connect with it, right? Let me tap back in with you guys in the chat room. Make sure you guys like this video, even if it's like the last 10 minutes, just like the video, please. Just hit that little like button. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe if you like this content. My Cash App information, my super chat, my super stickers, all of the things are operating and available to everybody who wants to reciprocate my time and energy. Good night, sweet vegan. All right. Good night to you as well. Love this, genuine relationships with depth. Come to Shreveport, Louisiana, maybe to visit, never to live. But I love Louisiana and my people there as well. Most people in the States are made okay. I saw that. We appreciate ZaZa. Do you have any women support groups? I would be interested if you do. I have had them. I don't have any right now. That's probably something that I will be redeveloping soon, but I don't have any right now. I'm just, you know, kind of, I don't know. I'm repositioning myself with the social media world, with YouTube in particular. So yeah, not right now, but soon come. Intuitive discernment with people will save your life. Facts. Vulnerability requires safety. Absolutely. I got 3 jobs in my sexuality with my wife. Is still on 10. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing. Money is not a factor to me anymore. All praises due. I'm with you on that. I double down on that. And I'm very grateful for all of you guys for tuning in with me. This is my second video. I did not mean to talk for 2 hours, but we covered a lot of bases and it wasn't repetitive and it wasn't jargon. It was all important stuff that I hope feeds your soul and that maybe carries you through a difficult time or maybe gives you some more clarity on something you were struggling with, or just reminds you that you're not alone, because you're not. And it's hard to reach for the light right now in the midst of so much craziness. And, you know, it's the summertime, so everything is turned up right now. The melanin is turned up. The melanin is popping. The freaks come out at night. You know what I mean? It's all happening. But the beautiful things are happening too. And so we just want to hone in on the beautiful things, shine some light in your direction, share some energy with you guys. Don't forget to reciprocate. All of my information with my books and workbooks are in the description. I know you guys love and appreciate my time and energy. I do appreciate the reciprocity as well. And I will see you beautiful people very soon. Peace and love.